Minho stumbled backward like she'd struck him across the face. His hand clutched the hospital door frame, knuckles white, jaw clenched so tight a muscle twitched in his cheek. The most feared man in Seoul, the devil himself, looked like he was about to collapse. "What did you just say?" His voice cracked. Nurse Ji-woo stood between him and the incubator, where his 3-month-old daughter lay dying, her small frame blocking his massive one. She didn't flinch. "I said I know why Hana's fading, and you're not gonna like it." His dark eyes searched hers, desperate, vulnerable. Nothing like the cold mafia boss who'd ignored her for 3 months, who'd pretended their night together never happened. "Tell me." It wasn't a command, it was a plea. She took a breath. Because she needs her mother's touch, skin-to-skin contact, and her mother... Ji-woo's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Her mother is me." Everything went silent. "What? The woman you slept with that night? The one who left before morning?" Ji-woo's hands trembled. "That was me. I'm Hana's biological mother. The woman who died in childbirth. Your fiancé. She's not. She was never pregnant. You've been lied to this entire time." His face drained of color. "That's impossible. Sumin was dead before she ever got pregnant." Ji-woo cut him off. "Your enemies killed her and someone switched her medical records with mine to hide the truth. Your daughter has been dying because she's been separated from me. Because you didn't know. Because I was too afraid to tell you." Minho's legs gave out. He caught himself against the wall, sliding down slightly. No, that can't. Believe what you want," Ji-woo said, tears streaming down her face. "But your daughter has maybe 48 hours left, and I'm the only one who can save her." Present day. Seoul National University Hospital, neonatal ICU. The machines beeped steadily, but each sound felt like a countdown. Minho stared at the tiny baby in the incubator, Hana, his daughter, his entire world, and felt his empire crumbling around him. 3 months of watching her fade. 3 months of the best doctors in Korea shaking their heads, unable to explain why a healthy baby was simply giving up. And now this nurse. This woman with kind eyes and steady hands who'd been the only one Hana responded to, the only one who could calm her cries. "Explain," he said, his voice returning to that cold, controlled tone, the one that made grown men confess their sins. "From the beginning." Ji-woo wiped her face with the back of her hand, her purple scrubs wrinkling with the movement. She looked exhausted, beautiful and exhausted. How had he not recognized her? 4 months ago, she started. "I went to Club Venom with my friend. It was her birthday. I'm not that kind of person, but she insisted." 4 months ago. Club Venom, Gangnam District, 11:47 p.m. The bass pounded through Ji-woo's chest as her best friend Mi-soon dragged her through the crowd. Strobe lights cut through the darkness, illuminating beautiful people dancing, drinking, living lives that felt worlds away from Ji-woo's quiet existence. "Loosen up!" Mi-sun shouted over the music, pressing a drink into her hand. "You literally deliver babies all day. You deserve to have some fun." Ji-woo laughed despite herself, taking a sip. The alcohol burned pleasantly. "I deliver babies because I love my job. And I love you, but girl, you need to get laid." Mi-sun's eyes suddenly went wide. "Oh my God, don't look. But there's a man staring at you like you're water and he's been lost in the desert." Of course Ji-woo looked. He sat in the VIP section, elevated above the dance floor. Dark suit, darker eyes, and a presence that commanded attention even in a room full of people trying to be noticed. Their eyes met across the chaos. Time stuttered. "That's Min-ho Kang," Mi-sun whispered, suddenly serious. "Ji-woo, that's the Min-ho Kang, like the Korean mafia boss, the one they call the Devil of Seoul." "He's looking at someone else," Ji-woo said, but she couldn't break eye contact. Couldn't breathe properly. He stood, started walking toward the stairs that led down to the main floor. "Oh, shit! He's coming over here," Mi-sun hissed. I'll be at the bar. Do not leave with him. Actually, maybe do leave with him. I don't know. Be safe. Use protection." She disappeared into the crowd. Then he was there, standing in front of her. Up close, he was even more devastating. Sharp jawline, full lips, that intense gaze that seemed to see straight through her. "Dance with me," he said. Not a question, but somehow not a command either. "I don't dance with strangers," Jiwoo replied, surprised by her own boldness. Maybe it was the alcohol. Maybe it was the way he looked at her. "Minho," he said, extending his hand, "now we're not strangers." She should have walked away, should have found Mi-soon and gone home to her quiet apartment and her normal life. Instead, she took his hand. Jiwoo. The way he smiled, small, private, like she'd given him something precious, made her stomach flip. They danced. Or rather, they swayed together, his hands on her waist, her arms around his neck, the rest of the club fading away. He smelled like expensive cologne and something darker, more dangerous. "What does a man like you do?" she asked, because surely he couldn't be what Mi-sun said. Surely the man holding her this gently, looking at her this softly, couldn't be a monster. "Import/export, he said, and she knew it was a lie but didn't care. "And you?" "I'm a neonatal nurse. I take care of premature babies." Something shifted in his expression. Softness. Real interest. "That must be difficult." "It's everything," she said honestly. "Those little fighters, surviving against impossible odds. I love them." "Do you want children of your own?" The question should have been too intimate, too fast, but in that moment in his arms, it felt natural. "Someday, maybe, if I find the right person." And what makes someone right? She looked up at him, this beautiful, dangerous man, and told the truth. "Someone who makes me feel brave." His thumb brushed her cheek. "Do I make you feel brave?" "Terrified," she whispered. "But yes." He kissed her then, deep and desperate, and she kissed him back like her life depended on it. When they broke apart, breathless, he leaned his forehead against hers. "Come home with me," he said, "just for tonight. I need something real, just once. Can you give me that?" Every instinct screamed warning, but she looked into his eyes and saw something that matched the ache in her own chest. Loneliness, longing, a desperate need for connection. "Just tonight," she agreed. They left the club hand in hand. His penthouse was obscene, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, modern furniture that probably cost more than her annual salary. But she barely noticed. They undressed each other slowly, reverently, and when he laid her down on his bed, he whispered her name like a prayer. "Jiwoo, beautiful Jiwoo." They made love 3 times that night, passionate, then tender, then desperate again as dawn approached. Between rounds, they talked about nothing, about everything. He told her about losing his parents young. She told him about growing up in an orphanage. They shared pieces of themselves they never showed the world. At 5 a.m., she woke before him, watched him sleep, this powerful man looking almost vulnerable in rest. She knew if she stayed, if she tried to make this real, his world would destroy her. So she dressed quietly, left a note on the pillow, "Thank you for making me feel brave," and disappeared. She cried the entire cab ride home. Present day. Hospital room. "I left before you woke up," Jiwoo continued, her voice hollow. "Blocked his number that I'd gotten from his phone, tried to pretend it never happened, then 3 weeks later I realized I was pregnant." Minho's jaw worked. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Tell the most dangerous man in Korea that I was carrying his baby?" She laughed bitterly. "I saw the news 2 weeks after our night. Your engagement announcement to Soo-min Park, the daughter of the Park crime family. The alliance everyone was talking about. What was I supposed to do? Show up at your door and ruin your life? So you decided to do what? Raise my child alone?" "I decided to protect her." Jiwoo's voice rose, raw with emotion. "From your world, from the violence, from me," he finished quietly. Silence stretched between them. Then what happened? Minho asked. Soo-min died. Everyone said, the doctors confirmed she died in childbirth, that Hana was her daughter. Jiwoo wrapped her arms around herself. I went into labor 2 months early. Premature rupture of membranes. I came here, to my own hospital, and... Her voice broke. Soo-min was here too. She'd been attacked by a rival gang, stabbed. When I was in surgery, having an emergency C-section, she died on the table next door. And someone switched the records. Your head of security, Jiwoo said. Taeyang. He came to my recovery room, told me that if I wanted to live, I'd sign papers saying I was a surrogate, that I'd agree to never claim Hana as my own, that Soo-min would be listed as the biological mother. Minho stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. Taeyang, you're telling me my own man... He said it was to protect the alliance with the Park family, that if they knew Soo-min died without giving you an heir, they'd go to war. But if everyone believed Hana was hers... Jiwoo wiped her eyes again. He had men outside my room. I'd just had major surgery. I was alone, so I signed. Fuck. Minho ran his hands through his hair, pacing. FCK? I couldn't disappear completely. I took the NICU position here so I could at least see her, watch over her. But I couldn't hold her, couldn't tell anyone the truth. Do you know what that's been like? Watching my daughter cry for me, watching her fade, and not being able to... She couldn't finish. The sobs took over. Minho stopped pacing. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then he moved, crossing the space between them, and pulled her into his arms. She stiffened, shocked. But he held her tighter, one hand cradling the back of her head, the other wrapped around her waist. I'm sorry, he said roughly. I'm so fucking sorry. And Jiwoo, who'd been strong for 3 months, who'd held everything together, finally broke down completely. She cried into his chest while he held her, this complicated, dangerous man who'd given her one perfect night and a daughter worth dying for. 2 hours later, hospital director's office. Dr. Nam sat behind his desk, pale and sweating, as Minho loomed over him. 2 of Minho's men, not Taeyang, never Taeyang again, stood by the door. Jiwoo sat in a chair, exhausted but present for this. Pull the records, Minho said, his voice deadly calm. Every file related to my daughter's birth, every DNA test, every document. I want to see them all. Mr. Kang, I assure you, now. Dr. Nam's fingers trembled as he typed. The printer whirred to life. He handed over a stack of papers. Minho read through them, his expression growing darker with each page. Jiwoo watched realization dawn on his face, the falsified lab results, the forged signatures, the elaborate cover-up. This says Jiwoo was the surrogate, Minho said slowly, but it also lists Soo-min as providing the egg. That's genetically impossible if Soo-min died before ever being pregnant. The Park family insisted on those specific records, Dr. Nam whispered. They threatened the hospital. I'm sorry, I had no choice. Everyone has a choice. Minho set the papers down carefully. You chose wrong. Please, Mr. Kang, prepare the DNA tests, Jiwoo and Hana. I want official, legitimate results by tomorrow morning. He leaned forward. And if you ever want to practice medicine again, you'll make sure this truth comes out properly. A mistake in the records. Tragic confusion. Whatever story keeps Jiwoo's name clean. Understand? Yes, sir. Outside the office, Jiwoo finally exhaled. What happens now? Minho looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression made her heart stutter. Now? Now we save our daughter. You're going to give her what she needs. Skin-to-skin contact, your presence, your care. And I'm going to handle Taeyang and anyone else who thought they could lie to me. Minho, and after Hana's safe? He stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. After she's healthy and strong, we're going to talk about that night, about why you really left, about why I haven't been able to forget you for 4 months. Her breath caught. You remember me? His laugh was low, almost pained. Jiwoo, I've remembered every second, every word, every touch. Did you really think I could forget the first woman who ever made me want to be someone different?" Before she could respond, his phone rang. He pulled away, answering with a sharp, "What?" His expression changed, hardened. "Where?" A pause. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up, looking at Jiwoo with regret. "I have to go. Business. But I'm assigning guards to you and Hana. No one gets near either of you without my approval." "I don't need—" "Yes, you do." His tone left no room for argument. "The Park family can't know the truth yet. Not until I've secured everything. Until then, you're both in danger. Please, Jiwoo, let me protect you." She nodded slowly. "Okay." He pressed a kiss to her forehead, brief, warm, full of promise. And then he was gone, striding down the hospital corridor like a man going to war. That night, Minho's office, Gangnam Tae-young knelt on the concrete floor, blood dripping from his split lip. Minho stood over him, knuckles bruised from the first punch. Around them, 6 of Minho's most trusted men watched in silence. "How long?" Minho asked quietly. "Boss, please." "How long?" Tae-young flinched. "Since the beginning. The Park family approached me after Soo-min died, offered me $5 million to make sure the alliance held. They needed you to believe you had a Park heir, and you thought lying to me about my own child was acceptable? I thought I was protecting the organization. A war with the Parks would have destroyed us." Minho crouched down, getting eye level with his former head of security. "You know what the funny thing is? I didn't even love Soo-min. That engagement was purely business. If you'd come to me, told me the truth, that she died, that my actual child's mother was alive, I would have called off the alliance myself." He smiled, cold and terrifying. "I would have chosen differently, but you took that choice away from me. You made me abandon the mother of my child, made me ignore Jiwoo for 3 months while my daughter almost died, for money. Boss." Minho stood. "You're out. If I ever see you again, you're dead. Spread the word. Anyone who helped with this cover-up has 24 hours to confess. After that?" He looked at his men. "Hunt them down." "Yes, sir," they responded in unison. As Tae-young was dragged out, Minho's second-in-command, June, approached. "The Park family is asking for a meeting. They've heard rumors." "Let them wait." Minho poured himself a whiskey, downed it. "Right now, my priority is Hana and Jiwoo. Everything else can burn." Meanwhile, hospital, neonatal, ICU Jiwoo sat in a rocking chair beside Hana's incubator. Finally allowed to hold her daughter. The baby was so small, barely 5 pounds even at 3 months old. But she was warm and alive, and when Jiwoo had pressed her against her bare chest, skin to skin like she'd been aching to do for months, Hana had made a tiny sound of contentment. "There you are," Jiwoo whispered, tears sliding down her face. "There's my girl. Mommy's here now. Mommy's got you." Mi-sun burst through the door, wild-eyed and breathless. "Okay, what the actual fuck is happening? I got your text and—" She stopped dead, staring. "Are you holding Hana? Are you allowed to be holding Hana?" "Mi-sun, sit down. I have a lot to explain." 20 minutes later, Mi-sun sat in stunned silence. "So let me get this straight," she finally said. "The hot mafia guy from the club 4 months ago? That's Minho Kang. The baby you've been caring for? Yours? The whole dead fiancé giving birth thing? A lie. And now you're what? Co-parenting with the devil of soul?" "When you say it like that—" "Girl, your life is insane." Mi-sun grabbed her hands. "Are you okay? Like really okay? Because this is a lot." Jiwoo looked down at Hana, who'd fallen asleep against her chest, and felt something settle in her soul. "I'm terrified. He's dangerous. His world is violent, and I have no idea what happens next. But Mi-sun, she's here. I can finally hold my daughter. So yeah, I think I'm okay." "And Minho? How do you feel about him?" That was the question, wasn't it? "I don't know," That night was perfect. But that was fantasy. This is real life with real consequences. He might want to be involved with Hana, but that doesn't mean that he still wants you? Mi-sun raised an eyebrow. Ji-woo, I saw how he looked at you in that club. That man was gone. And you're telling me he said he's never forgotten you? He's probably just... Stop. Mi-sun pointed at her. Stop doing that thing where you convince yourself you're not worthy of good things. He's the father of your child. He clearly has feelings for you. And unless I'm blind, you have feelings for him too. Ji-woo opened her mouth to deny it, but what came out was, I'm so scared, Mi-sun. What if I let myself feel this and he breaks my heart? What if his world destroys us? What if it doesn't? Her friend squeezed her hand. What if you get your fairy tale? Before Ji-woo could answer, the door opened. A man she didn't recognize entered, tall, handsome, with kind eyes and an easy smile. He wore doctor's scrubs. Sorry to interrupt, he said. I'm Dr. Park Jun-woo, pediatric specialist. Mr. Kang requested I check on Hana personally. Park? Ji-woo stiffened. As in the Park family? Distant relation, but yes. He approached slowly, hands visible, clearly trying to appear non-threatening. I'm not involved in the family business. I actually can't stand them, but I am one of the best pediatric doctors in Korea. And Min-ho, we go way back. Before all the mafia stuff. We were friends once. Mi-sun stood protectively. How do we know we can trust you? You don't, Jun-woo said honestly. But I'm here to help Hana, not hurt her. May I examine her? Ji-woo hesitated, then nodded. She watched carefully as he gently checked Hana's vitals, his touch professional and kind. She's already improving, he said, sounding pleased. You're doing exactly what she needs. Skin-to-skin contact. Your voice. Your presence. It's remarkable how much babies can sense their biological parents. Will she be okay? Ji-woo asked, her voice small. With you caring for her. Absolutely. He smiled. Mr. Kang was right to bring you into this. Hana's lucky to have you. Something about his sincerity made Ji-woo relax slightly. Thank you. As he was leaving, he paused. Fair warning. The Park family is going to lose their minds when they find out the truth. Min-ho's making enemies by protecting you. Just be careful. After he left, Mi-sun whistled low. Well, he was dreamy. Did you see those eyes? Mi-sun, focus. I am focused. Focused on the fact that the hot doctor just fucked me on his way out. He did not. Oh, he absolutely did. Mi-sun grinned. Maybe this situation won't be all bad. I mean, you get the mafia boss, I get the rebel doctor. It's like a K-drama come to life. Despite everything, Ji-woo laughed. You're ridiculous. And you love me for it. 3 days later, Min-ho's penthouse. Min-ho hadn't slept in 72 hours. He'd been coordinating protection details, handling the Park family's increasingly aggressive demands for a meeting, and somehow finding time to visit the hospital twice a day to see Hana. And to see Ji-woo. Watching her with their daughter did something to him. The gentle way she held Hana, sang to her, loved her so completely. It awoke feelings he'd buried long ago. Hope, longing. The desire for something more than his violent empire. You look like shit, June said, walking into the penthouse without knocking. When's the last time you ate? Don't remember. Slept? Irrelevant. June sighed, setting down a bag of takeout. Eat. Now. You're no good to Hana or Ji-woo if you collapse. Min-ho wanted to argue, but knew his friend was right. He opened the container, mechanically eating bulgogi. How are they? Hana's improving every day. Should be out of the NICU by next week if progress continues. Ji-woo's exhausted but refusing to leave her side. June paused. She asked about you. Wanted to know if you were eating, sleeping. Min-ho's hand stilled. She did? She cares, Min-ho, even though she's probably terrified to. Even though your world is dangerous and insane. She cares about you. She shouldn't. Maybe not, but she does. June leaned forward. What are you going to do about it? What can I do? I'm a monster, June. I've killed people, ruined lives. I'm the last man who should be anywhere near someone as good as her. You're also Hana's father, and whether you like it or not, you're connected to Jiwoo forever now. The question isn't whether you deserve her, it's whether you're brave enough to try. Before Minho could respond, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We know the truth about Hana. Meet us, or Jiwoo pays the price. Park family. His blood ran cold. Fuck! What is it? Minho was already moving, grabbing his jacket, his gun. The Parks. They know, and they're threatening Jiwoo. I'm coming with you. No. Go to the hospital. Make sure Jiwoo and Hana are safe. I've got guards there, but I need you there too. Someone I trust, absolutely. June nodded, already heading for the door. Be careful. Careful's never been my style. Hospital. Same time Jiwoo walked down the empty corridor, heading for the vending machine. It was 2 a.m., and Hana was sleeping peacefully for the first time in days. The guards Minho had assigned stood outside the NICU, watching everything. She should have felt safe. But something felt wrong. The hallway was too quiet. The lights seemed dimmer than usual. And was that footsteps behind her? She turned. No one there. You're being paranoid, she told herself. You're exhausted and paranoid. She got her coffee from the machine, turned back toward the NICU, and walked straight into a man's chest. Sorry, She looked up. Didn't recognize him. Can I help you? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Nurse Shinji Woo? Everything in her screamed danger. Who's asking? Someone who's very interested in your daughter. He grabbed her arm, his grip bruising. You're coming with us. Let go of me. Jiwoo tried to pull away, but he was too strong. Another man appeared from around the corner. Panic flooded her system. Help! Someone... The first man clamped a hand over her mouth. Make this easy and we won't hurt the baby. The threat to Hana turned her fear into rage. She bit down hard on his hand. He yelped, loosening his grip just enough for her to scream, "Guards!" Then everything happened at once. Minho's guards rounded the corner, guns drawn. The men holding her reached for their own weapons. And then, Minho appeared like an avenging angel, moving with deadly precision. He grabbed the first man's wrist, twisted until something cracked, and threw him against the wall. The second man aimed his gun, but Minho was faster, disarming him and delivering a brutal punch to his jaw. Both attackers crumpled to the ground. Minho turned to Jiwoo, his eyes wild with fear and fury. Are you hurt? She shook her head, trembling. I'm okay. Her legs gave out. He caught her, pulling her against his chest. I've got you. You're safe. I've got you. She clung to him, adrenaline crash hitting hard. They knew about Hana. They were going to... I know. His hand cupped the back of her head, protective and gentle. But they failed, and they're going to regret ever coming near you. The guards secured the attackers while June came running down the hall, Mi-sun right behind him. Jiwoo! Mi-sun grabbed her friend, pulling her into a hug. Oh my God, are you okay? I'm fine. Shaken, but fine. Jiwoo looked at Minho, who was barking orders at his men. His entire demeanor changed from the gentle way he'd held her seconds ago. This was the devil of soul, dangerous, lethal, terrifying, and he'd saved her. When he turned back, his expression softened immediately. June, check her over. Make sure she's really okay. I'm not hurt. Let him check, Minho said, his voice leaving no room for argument, but his hand found hers, squeezed gently. Please. So she let June examine her while Minho stood close, never letting go of her hand. Mi-sun hovered anxiously, and hospital security finally arrived, responding to the commotion. Minor bruising on her arm, June announced, but otherwise fine. You should rest, though, Jiwoo. The shock... I need to see Hana. Hana's fine, Minho said. I already checked. She slept through everything. But you... I need to see her, Jiwoo repeated, her voice breaking. Please, I need to hold my daughter. His expression crumbled. Okay, let's go. He kept his arm around her as they walked to the NICU, his body a shield between her and the world. Inside, Hana slept peacefully, unaware of how close danger had come. Jiwoo lifted her carefully, holding her close, breathing in her baby scent. "I'm here, sweetheart. Mommy's here." Minho stood beside them, and when Jiwoo looked up, she saw tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry," he said roughly. "This is my fault. My world, my enemies." "You saved me," Jiwoo interrupted. "You protected us both." "I shouldn't have had to. You should never have been in danger in the first place." She shifted Hana to one arm and reached for Minho's hand with the other. "But I was, and you came. You'll always come, won't you?" He looked at their joined hands, at his sleeping daughter, at the woman who'd given him something he'd thought impossible, a family. "Always," he whispered. "I'll always protect you both, no matter what it costs me." In that moment, in that quiet NICU at 2:30 in the morning, something shifted between them, an understanding, a promise. Mi-sun watched from the doorway with June, both of them giving the new family space. "They're going to be okay," June said quietly. "Yeah," Mi-sun agreed. "They are." She glanced at him. "You were pretty heroic back there, running in without hesitation." "So were you." Their eyes met, held. "Want to grab coffee?" June asked. "I think they're going to be a while, and I could use something stronger than hospital vending machine sludge." Mi-sun smiled. "You buying, doctor?" "Absolutely." As they left, Jiwoo noticed and couldn't help but smile despite everything. At least something good was coming from this chaos. The next morning, hospital private room. Minho had arranged for Jiwoo to move into a private room connected to Hana's NICU space. Safer, he'd said, easier to protect. Jiwoo was too exhausted to argue. She woke to find him sitting in a chair beside her bed, watching her sleep. "That's creepy," she mumbled, stretching. "You talk in your sleep," he said, a slight smile playing at his lips. "Called me an idiot twice and said something about wanting dumplings." She sat up, suddenly self-conscious. "How long have you been there?" "A few hours. I wanted to make sure you were okay." He stood, moving to the window. "The men who attacked you were Park family soldiers. I've sent a message to their leadership. We're meeting today." "Is that safe?" "No." He turned to face her. "But it's necessary. They need to understand that you and Hana are off limits, that if they come after my family again, I'll burn their empire to the ground." "Your family," Jiwoo repeated softly. "Is that what we are?" Minho crossed back to her, sitting on the edge of her bed. "Jiwoo, I need to tell you something. That night we met, I knew you were special. I knew you were different from everyone else in my world. That's why I brought you home. That's why I shared things I never tell anyone." "Then why did you get engaged to Sumin?" "Because I thought that night was all we could ever have. Because I'm a coward who didn't fight for what I really wanted." He took her hand. "But now? Now I have a second chance, and I'm not wasting it. You and Hana, you're my family. If you'll have me, if you can accept what I am." Her heart pounded. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I haven't stopped thinking about you for 4 months. I'm saying watching you with our daughter makes me want things I never thought I could have. I'm saying..." He cupped her face. "I'm saying I'm falling in love with you, Jiwoo. Maybe I already fell that first night, and if you give me a chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving I can be the man you and Hana deserve." Tears streamed down her face. "Minho, you don't have to answer now. I know I'm asking for a lot. I know my world is dangerous. But I need you to know how I feel. I need you to know you're not alone in this." She looked at this complicated, dangerous, wonderful man and made a choice. "I'm falling too," she whispered. "I'm terrified and it's probably insane, but I'm falling for you too." His kiss was different from that first night, less desperate, more certain, a promise rather than a goodbye. When they broke apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead to hers. "After today's meeting, after I've secured our safety, We're going to do this right, he said. I'm going to court you properly, date you, give you all the romance you deserve. I don't need romance, I need honesty, and I need you to promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll come back from this meeting. Promise me Hana won't grow up without a father. His jaw tightened. I promise. I'm not going anywhere, Jiwoo. You're stuck with me. Good. They stayed like that for a long moment, holding each other, both knowing the calm wouldn't last. But for now, it was enough. 2 days later, abandoned warehouse. Seoul Doc's Min-ho stood across from Park Jin-woo, the patriarch of the Park family, surrounded by armed men on both sides. June stood at his right hand, loyal as always. You lied to me, Park Jin-woo said, his voice cold. You let me believe your daughter was my blood, that our families were united. Your daughter died, Min-ho replied evenly, tragically, violently, because of this life we lead. But she was never pregnant. The alliance was built on a lie your people constructed. To preserve peace, to preserve your power, Min-ho corrected. You were afraid that without a blood tie I'd turn against you, so you fabricated one. And now you want what? To break the alliance? To go to war? I want you to leave my family alone. Min-ho's voice dropped, deadly calm. Jiwoo and Hana are off limits. You don't threaten them. You don't go near them. You don't even speak their names. In return, I'll maintain our business arrangements. But the alliance as it was, that's over. Park Jin-woo's face reddened. You dare? I dare. Min-ho stepped forward. Because the alternative is I dismantle your organization piece by piece. I've already started, actually. 3 of your warehouses burned last night. Your shipment from Bangkok, intercepted. Your accountant, he's currently explaining your tax fraud to authorities. I'm the devil of Seoul, Min-ho interrupted. And you just threatened my daughter. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? Silence fell. Park Jin-woo's men shifted nervously. They'd heard stories about Min-ho's ruthlessness, seen evidence of it. No one wanted to be the first to draw a weapon. What do you want? Park Jin-woo finally asked. Public announcement that the alliance was dissolved by mutual agreement. You stay on your side of the city, I stay on mine. We maintain trade agreements, but nothing more. And you spread the word. Jiwoo and Hana are under my protection. Anyone who touches them answers to me. And if I refuse? Min-ho smiled, cold and terrifying. Then war, and we both know who'd win. Another long silence. Then Park Jin-woo nodded slowly. Agreed, but Min-ho, this makes us enemies. We were always enemies, Min-ho said. At least now we're honest about it. He turned and walked away, June following, both men tense until they were clear of the warehouse. That went better than expected, June said once they were in the car, because he knows I meant every word. Min-ho pulled out his phone, texted Jiwoo, It's done, you're safe, coming to see you now. Her response was immediate. Hana and I are waiting. Come home. Come home. Like he'd been waiting his whole life to hear those words. Hospital. That evening, Jiwoo was singing to Hana when Min-ho arrived. He stood in the doorway just watching, his heart doing something complicated in his chest. Hey, she said softly when she noticed him. How did it go? It's over. You're safe. Both of you. He came closer, looking down at his daughter. June says she can leave the hospital in a few days. I know, it's amazing how fast she's improved. Jiwoo smiled. Turns out all she needed was her parents. Jiwoo, about that, where will you go when you're discharged? I have an apartment. It's small, but... Move in with me, he said suddenly. Both of you. I have security, space, everything you need, and I want to be there. For feedings and diaper changes and all of it. I've already missed 3 months. I don't want to miss anything else. She studied him. That's moving fast. I know. And if you're not ready, I understand. But Jiwoo, I meant what I said. You're my family, and I want us to be together. Really together. What about your world? The danger? I'm making changes, shifting to legitimate business. It won't happen overnight, but I'm getting out of the violent side of things. For Hana. For you. For us. Jiwoo felt tears threatening again. You'd do that? I'd do anything for you both. She looked down at Hana, then back at Minho, and made her choice. Okay, we'll move in. But Minho, if we're doing this, we're doing it as partners, equals. I'm not some fragile thing you have to protect and shelter. I'm Hana's mother, and I have a say in everything. He smiled, real and warm. I wouldn't want it any other way. Before they could say more, Mi-sun burst in with June, both carrying bags of food. Family dinner, Mi-sun announced. We brought Korean fried chicken, pizza, and approximately 17 side dishes because June apparently can't go anywhere without buying out the restaurant. I wanted options, June protested, but he was smiling at Mi-sun in a way that made his feelings obvious. Oh my God, you two are dating, Jiwoo said, delighted. We've been on one coffee run, Mi-sun said. Well, one coffee run, one dinner, one very long conversation that lasted until 4 a.m., and one extremely hot makeout session in his car. But who's counting? Mi-sun. But Jiwoo was laughing. They set up the food, carefully arranging it so Jiwoo could eat while holding Hana. Minho sat beside her, his arm around her shoulders, and for the first time in months, maybe years, he felt at peace. To new beginnings, June said, raising his drink. To family, Minho added. To love, Mi-sun contributed with a wink. To surviving the chaos, Jiwoo finished. They clinked their cups together, 4 people who'd found each other in the most unlikely circumstances, building something beautiful from the wreckage. 2 weeks later, Minho's penthouse Jiwoo woke to the sound of Hana crying. She checked the clock. 3:47 a.m. Before she could get up, she heard Minho's voice through the baby monitor. Hey, princess, Daddy's here. Let's let Mommy sleep, okay? She smiled, listening as he changed Hana's diaper, his voice soft and loving as he talked to their daughter. You're getting so big. Look at those chubby cheeks. You're going to be beautiful like your mom, aren't you? Hana's cries turned to coos. That's my girl. You hungry? Let's go make you a bottle. Jiwoo got up anyway, padding quietly to the kitchen. She found Minho warming a bottle. Hana nestled against his bare chest, both of them looking perfect together. I told you to sleep, he said when he saw her. And miss this? She came closer, pressing a kiss to Hana's head, then to Minho's shoulder. Never. He fed Hana while Jiwoo made tea, the 3 of them a little unit in the quiet darkness. When the baby fell back asleep, Minho laid her in her bassinet and turned to Jiwoo. I need to tell you something, he said, suddenly serious. Her heart clenched. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's actually really right, which is terrifying. He took her hands. I love you, Jiwoo. I'm completely, desperately in love with you. And I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out, but I can't go another day without saying it properly. Minho, let me finish. He pulled her closer. You make me want to be better. You and Hana. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I was thinking, maybe in a few months when things are more stable, I could ask you properly, with a ring and a plan and— Yes, she interrupted. He blinked. What? Yes, I'll marry you. Not in a few months. Now. Whenever you want. Because I love you too, Minho. I think I've loved you since that first night, even though I tried so hard not to. Jiwoo, you're sure? You don't want time to think about it? I've had 4 months to think. 4 months of watching you transform into an amazing father. 4 months of falling deeper in love with you every single day. So yes, I'm sure. He kissed her then, deep and passionate and full of promise. When they broke apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead to hers. I don't have a ring yet. I don't need one. You'll get one anyway, the biggest diamond in Seoul. She laughed. How about we compromise? Something small and meaningful. Deal. He kissed her again. I'm going to make you so happy, Jiwoo. I promise. You already do. They stood there in the dark kitchen, holding each other, their daughter sleeping peacefully nearby, and everything felt right. The next day, Jewelry store, Gangnam. That one, Mi-sun said, pointing to an enormous diamond ring. Definitely that one. It's too much, Ji-woo protested. I told Minho something small. And he told me to ignore you, the jeweler said with a smile. Mr. Kang was very specific, the best for his fiancée. How about this one? June suggested, pointing to a more modest but beautiful ring, a single diamond on a delicate band. It's elegant, without being ostentatious. Ji-woo's breath caught. It's perfect. Then that's the one, Minho said from the doorway. They all turned to find him standing there, looking devastating in a dark suit. Sorry I'm late. Meeting ran long. He came to Ji-woo, wrapping his arms around her from behind, chin resting on her shoulder as they looked at the ring together. You like it? I love it. Good. He pressed a kiss to her neck. Because you're stuck with it. And me, forever. I can live with that. The jeweler packaged the ring while Mi-sun and June gave them space, pretending to look at other cases but really just giving each other heated glances. Those two are going to be next, Ji-woo murmured. June's already told me he's going to propose, Minho said. Apparently, Mi-sun is the one, and he's not waiting. Really? Really? Seems like we're both lucky in love. Ji-woo turned in his arms. Minho, I need to tell you something too, about the future, about what I want. Anything. I want more children. Not right away, but someday. I want Hana to have siblings. His expression softened. How many? I don't know. 2 more? 3? Let's start with 1 more and see how we feel. He kissed her forehead. But yes, I want that too. A house full of kids, chaos and noise and love everywhere. Who knew the devil of Seoul was secretly domestic. Only for you, he murmured. Only ever for you. That night, Private Restaurant Minho had arranged a private dinner. Just him, Ji-woo, Mi-sun, and June. Hana slept in her carrier, blissfully unaware of the celebration around her. So when's the wedding? Mi-sun asked, already on her second glass of wine. Soon, Minho said. Small ceremony. Close friends and family only. Define small, Ji-woo said suspiciously. 50 people? Minho, that's not small. In my world it is. But if you want smaller, we can do smaller. City Hall even, if that's what makes you happy. She thought about it. Actually, I like the idea of a small ceremony, but can we do it somewhere meaningful? Maybe the club where we met? Minho laughed. Club Venom? Really? Why not? That's where our story started. Our story started with you running away from me, he teased, and ended with me running toward you, she countered. He raised his glass. Then Club Venom it is. We'll rent out the whole place, marry you right where we first danced. That's actually really romantic, Mi-sun said, then turned to June. Take notes, doctor. June just smiled mysteriously. They ate and laughed and celebrated, 4 people who'd found their way to each other through chaos and danger and fate. When Hana woke up, fussing, both Minho and Ji-woo reached for her at the same time. I've got her, Ji-woo said. We both do, Minho corrected, and they held their daughter together, showing her off to their friends like she was the most precious thing in the world. Because she was, 2 months later, Club Venom. The club had been transformed, white flowers everywhere, soft lighting replacing the usual strobes, and an altar set up right where Minho and Ji-woo had first danced. Ji-woo stood in the bride's room staring at herself in the mirror. Her dress was simple but elegant, white silk that flowed like water. Mi-sun had done her makeup, keeping it natural, and her hair fell in soft waves. You look beautiful, Mi-sun said, tears already streaming down her face. I can't believe this is happening. Neither can I. Ji-woo touched her engagement ring, still amazed by how her life had changed. Mi-sun, thank you for dragging me here 4 months ago, for being there through everything, for... Stop, you're going to make me cry harder. Mi-sun hugged her carefully. I'm so happy for you, Ji-woo. You deserve this. You deserve everything. A knock on the door. June poked his head in. It's time. Minho's ready, and he looks like he's about to pass out from nervousness. The devil of Seoul, nervous? Jiwoo laughed. Terrified, June confirmed with a grin. It's adorable. Mi-sun primped one more time, checking her own dress, a beautiful rose gold that complemented her perfectly. Let's go get you married. The ceremony was small but perfect. 40 people, mostly Minho's legitimate business associates and Jiwoo's friends from the hospital. Dr. Park Jun-woo stood as best man, Mi-sun as maid of honor, and Hana, now 4 months old and thriving, slept in her grandmother's arms. Minho's aunt, the only family he had left. When Jiwoo walked down the aisle, Minho's expression made every guest reach for tissues. He looked at her like she'd hung the moon, like she was everything he'd ever wanted and more. "Hi," she whispered when she reached him. "Hi," he whispered back, his voice thick with emotion. "You're so beautiful. You're not so bad yourself." The officiant cleared his throat, smiling at their obvious love. "Shall we begin?" The ceremony was short but meaningful. When it came time for vows, Minho took Jiwoo's hands. "I'm not good with words," he started. "I'm much better at actions, but you deserve words, so I'm going to try. Jiwoo, you saved me. Not just Hana, but me. You showed me what it means to love unconditionally, to be brave enough to let someone in. You gave me a daughter and a reason to be better. And I promise every single day for the rest of our lives, I'll work to deserve you, to be the man you and Hana need. I'll protect you, cherish you, and love you with everything I have. You're my family, my home, my everything." Jiwoo was crying openly now. She squeezed his hands, finding her voice. "Minho, that night we met, you asked if you made me feel brave. The truth is, you terrified me, because I knew even then that you could destroy me, but you could also save me. And you did. You gave me Hana, the greatest gift of my life. You gave me safety and love and a future I never thought possible. I promise to stand beside you, to be your partner in everything, to love you through good times and bad. You're not a monster. You're not the devil. You're just Minho, the man who holds his daughter at 3 a.m., who makes me tea, who looks at me like I'm precious. And I love you so much. I now pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant said. "You may kiss your bride." Minho didn't need to be told twice. He cupped Jiwoo's face and kissed her deeply, thoroughly, while their guests cheered. When they broke apart, both smiling, the officiant added, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Kang." The reception was joyful. Dancing, toasts, laughter. Mi-sun caught the bouquet and immediately pointed at June, who just grinned. When the DJ played the song that had been playing that first night, Minho pulled Jiwoo onto the dance floor. "Just like before," he murmured, holding her close. "Better," she corrected, "because this time I'm not leaving." "Damn right you're not." He kissed her forehead. "You're stuck with me forever, Mrs. Kang." "I love the sound of that." They swayed together, surrounded by friends and family, their daughter sleeping peacefully nearby. It wasn't the life either of them had planned, but it was perfect. 6 months later, Kang residence Jiwoo woke to the sound of laughter. She stretched, checking the clock, 9 a.m. on a Sunday. Following the noise, she found Minho in the living room with Hana, now 9 months old and crawling everywhere. "Look at you go, princess," Minho encouraged as Hana scooted across the floor. "You're going to be walking before we know it." "And then we're in real trouble," Jiwoo said from the doorway. Minho looked up, his face breaking into that smile he reserved just for her. "Morning, beautiful. Coffee's ready." She joined them on the floor, Hana immediately crawling into her lap. "Did Daddy wear you out already?" "We've been up since 6, Minho admitted. "Someone decided sleep was optional." "Someone needs to learn about weekends," Jiwoo told Hana, who just gurgled happily. Minho's phone buzzed. He checked it, smiled. "June and Mi-sun are bringing lunch. They have news." "She's pregnant, isn't she?" "Either that or they're getting a dog." June was cryptic. An hour later, Mi-sun burst through the door, practically vibrating with excitement. "I'm pregnant!" "Called it," Jiwoo said, hugging her friend. "Congratulations! 8 weeks along. We wanted to wait until we were sure. But I literally cannot keep secrets." Mi-sun grabbed Jiwoo's hands. "Our kids are going to grow up together. They'll be best friends. It's perfect." June followed more calmly, shaking Minho's hand. "Thanks for the business advice, by the way. The private practice is doing great." "Told you legitimate work isn't so bad," Minho said with a grin. He'd fully exited the criminal world 6 months ago, transitioning to legal imports and real estate. Life was quieter now, safer, better. They had lunch on the terrace, watching Hana play with her toys, talking about the future. Mi-sun and June's wedding was in 3 months. They were buying a house, planning their family. "Never thought I'd have this," June said quietly, watching Mi-sun play with Hana. "Normal life. Family dinners, a wife and baby on the way." "Me neither," Minho agreed. He looked at Jiwoo, who was laughing at something Mi-sun said, and felt overwhelming gratitude. "But I'm never taking it for granted." As the sun set over Seoul, the 4 friends sat together, 2 couples building lives full of love and hope. Hana fell asleep in Jiwoo's arms, perfectly content. "To new beginnings," Minho said, raising his glass. "To family," June added. "To love," Mi-sun contributed. "To surviving and thriving," Jiwoo finished. They clinked glasses, celebrating not just where they were, but how far they'd come. From a chance meeting in a club to this, a family, chosen and cherished. Later that night, after their friends had left and Hana was asleep, Minho and Jiwoo stood on their balcony, wrapped in each other's arms. "Happy?" he asked. "Impossibly," she answered. "You?" "More than I ever thought possible." He kissed the top of her head. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being brave enough to tell me the truth. For giving me Hana. For loving me even when it was dangerous and difficult." Jiwoo turned in his arms, looking up at him. "Thank you for fighting for us, for becoming the man we needed, for loving us so completely." "Always," he promised, "for the rest of our lives." Inside, Hana made a small sound in her sleep. They both smiled, knowing their daughter was safe and loved and thriving. Their story had started with secrets and lies, with pain and fear. But it had transformed into something beautiful. Jiwoo had been right that first night. Minho did make her feel brave. Brave enough to love, to trust, to build a life with the most unexpected person. And Minho had found what he'd been searching for without knowing it. A home, a family, a reason to be better. Their happily ever after wasn't perfect. It was messy and complicated and required constant work, but it was theirs, and that made it perfect after all. Epilogue 2 years later. "Daddy, Hana took my toy." Minho looked up from his laptop to find his 2-year-old daughter clutching a stuffed rabbit, while his 6-month-old son wailed in his playpen. "Hana, sweetheart, that's Jun Seo's rabbit. Give it back." "Mine," Hana insisted with all the stubbornness of a toddler. Jiwoo emerged from the kitchen, pregnant with their 3rd child, shaking her head. "This is your future, Minho. Constant negotiation." "I run a business empire. I can handle 2 toddlers." 3 soon, she reminded him, patting her belly. He stood, scooping up Hana with one arm and retrieving the rabbit with the other. "How about we trade? You get the bunny and Junseo gets... your teddy bear?" Hana considered this seriously. "Okay, Daddy." Crisis averted. Jiwoo laughed, kissing his cheek. "You're getting good at this." "Only because I have a great teacher." He wrapped his free arm around her, the 3 of them, soon to be 5, a perfect chaotic unit. Outside, Seoul continued its endless rhythm, but inside their home, the former devil of Seoul had found his heaven, and he'd never been happier. The end.